Well, some sad news for Harley-Davidson enthusiasts in the area. The Blackbridge dealership in Cambridge has announced they're closing at the end of the month. It's one of the last remaining independent dealers in the area. CTV's Karis Mapp learns more about their legacy and the loyalty they've built.
It's no secret that Harley-Davidson has been navigating choppy waters in recent years, struggling to find the balance between heritage and evolution. One of the more telling signs of turbulence beneath the surface has emerged not in the traditional wheeled sector, but among its wheeled siblings, the trikes. Across the country, Harley dealerships are making quiet but concerted efforts to offload certain models of their trike lineup at aggressive prices, almost as though these machines have become more liability than asset. The situation is unfolding with a peculiar urgency, and though it's not officially acknowledged by the motor company, the signs are impossible to ignore. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. At the center of this curious phenomenon are specific trike models: the Freewheeler, the Tri-Glide Ultra, and the CVO Tri-Glide. These bikes, each built with the unmistakable Harley presence and boasting considerable power and comfort, now sit at the heart of an accelerated sales push. Dealers are moving them out with eye-widening incentives. Thousands off MSRP, dealer-specific rebates, and financing terms that border on desperation. What would typically be celebrated as high-end touring machinery has, for reasons the company won't publicly explain, been recast as inventory that must be cleared out, and quickly. The Freewheeler is perhaps the most surprising of the three. Initially launched to cater to a niche segment of riders who wanted the wheeled experience without the full bulk of the Tri-Glide Ultra, the Freewheeler was pitched as a stripped-down, no-nonsense cruiser. With its mini-ape handlebars, fat rear tires, and aggressive stance, it tried to tap into the muscle cruiser aesthetic while offering the stability and comfort of a trike. Yet somewhere along the way, it seems to have missed the mark. Despite efforts to market it as an agile alternative in the trike segment, demand simply didn't meet expectations. Dealers, especially those in southern states and retirement-dense areas, were once optimistic about the Freewheeler's potential. It was supposed to be the entry-level trike, drawing in aging riders who were no longer comfortable on wheels but still craved the Harley experience. Unfortunately, the stripped-back nature of the Freewheeler may have worked against it. Riders in this category often lean into the trike format for comfort and luxury, not minimalism. So what seemed like a cost-effective compromise came off as underwhelming in both amenities and value, especially when stacked against touring class expectations. The Tri-Glide Ultra, long considered the flagship of Harley's trike lineup, has not been spared either. This model, built with every comfort imaginable and targeted squarely at the cross-country touring crowd, has enjoyed years of steady popularity. Its luggage capacity, infotainment system, passenger accommodations, and sheer road presence made it a favorite among those who viewed riding as an experience to be shared and savored across long distances. Yet even this heavyweight has seen sales stagnate recently. The issue isn't with the machine itself. The Tri-Glide Ultra remains a capable and luxurious offering. The problem appears to be rooted in pricing and shifting rider demographics. With prices soaring beyond what many casual or older riders are willing to pay, especially with interest rates on the rise, the Tri-Glide Ultra finds itself in an awkward position. It's too expensive to be seen as accessible and not novel enough to justify the premium for younger riders looking for cutting-edge tech or electrification. As the median age of Harley buyers continues to climb, even those once thought of as ideal trike customers are hesitating or opting for used models instead. The result is an overstock situation that's made some dealers visibly anxious. Then comes the CVO Tri-Glide, the most extravagant of the trio. It's a rolling monument to excess, with premium finishes, custom detailing, advanced electronics, and the powerful Milwaukee 8 117 engine at its core. Introduced as part of Harley's Custom Vehicle Operations program, it was designed to appeal to riders who wanted not just a trike, but a showpiece, something rare, loud, and dripping in exclusivity. But exclusivity comes at a price, and the CVO Tri-Glide's six-figure tag has proven to be a serious barrier to entry. Dealers brought these units in with the expectation of courting affluent enthusiasts who would appreciate the craftsmanship and status symbol aspect. What they didn't account for was how narrow that market truly is. especially when economic conditions tightened and discretionary spending took a hit. Potential buyers who might have scooped up a CVO in 2019 or 2020 are now weighing other priorities, and the once impressive allure of a top-tier Harley trike is losing ground to financial caution. The result? Unsold CVO tri-glides collecting dust on showroom floors and in storage facilities. The push to move these trikes out the door is not just about slow sales, it's about dealership real estate and opportunity cost. Each trike, particularly the Tri-Glide Ultra and CVO variants, takes up far more physical space than a traditional motorcycle. With the industry experiencing a renewed surge in interest around electric motorcycles, adventure bikes, and even smaller displacement models aimed at urban riders, floor space has become more precious than ever. Dealers are making strategic decisions about what inventory deserves a front row spot, and the bulky, hard-to-move trikes are increasingly being shuffled to the back, both literally and metaphorically. There's also an undeniable seasonal component to this sales frenzy. As summer sets in, dealers are under pressure to hit quarterly targets and free up cash flow before the next wave of inventory arrives. For many, moving trikes now, at whatever margin they can salvage, is better than sitting on them through another winter. It's a calculated risk. Offer deep discounts, bundle in service packages, or even partner with third-party lenders to approve borderline credit applications, all in the hope of unloading what's becoming perceived as stagnant product. What makes this situation even more fascinating is the way dealers are handling it. Unlike the aggressive marketing blitz that typically accompanies a new model release or promotional season, the trike clearance is happening in a quieter, more subdued manner. There's no loud announcement that these models are being phased out or overhauled. Instead, it's whispered in sales offices, hinted at with cryptic social media posts, and buried within broader inventory reduction events. The implication is clear. Dealers don't want to draw too much attention to the fact that they're trying to dump these bikes. That might tarnish the perception of value or invite awkward questions about future support and parts availability. At the heart of this quiet exodus lies a deeper identity crisis for Harley-Davidson itself. The company has built its reputation on tradition, but in recent years, it's faced pressure to modernize, to become leaner, greener, and more globally relevant. The trikes, for all their comfort and familiarity, are emblematic of Harley's old playbook. They're large, gas-thirsty, and unapologetically rooted in a bygone era of American motorcycling. As the brand attempts to court younger audiences and international markets, these trikes start to look like relics rather than icons. Yet walking away from them entirely is not an option, at least not yet. There's still a loyal, albeit shrinking customer base that swears by wheels. These riders value the trikes for safety, comfort, and stability, especially as age or disability makes balancing a wheeler more difficult. Harley can't afford to alienate this segment outright, but it's clear that a shift is underway. The current effort to clear trike inventory may well be a prelude to a larger realignment in Harley's touring and wheeled strategy. What complicates the picture further is the aftermarket scene. Trike customization has always been a robust subculture within Harley's ecosystem. Riders invest heavily in custom paint, exhaust systems, lighting, and performance upgrades to make their trikes stand out. But even the aftermarket world is showing signs of cooling. Fewer trike builds are being featured at custom shows, and vendors report a dip in demand for trike-specific parts. It's as if the entire ecosystem around Harley's trikes is collectively holding its breath, unsure of what comes next. For dealers, the clock is ticking. The cost of holding on to unsold trikes is stacking up quickly, not just in space, but in depreciation and insurance. Some are resorting to auctioning units off in bulk to fleet buyers or rental companies. Others are striking behind-the-scenes deals with local riding schools or tour operators, just to get the bikes moving. Every trike that lingers is a reminder of a miscalculation, either in projected demand or in the broader appeal of the wheel format. The pressure is evident in sales teams too. Walk into any dealership right now and mention you're remotely interested in a trike, and you'll likely be ushered into a VIP experience quicker than you can blink. You'll hear about limited time offers, last chance pricing, and even be invited to test rides with personalized routes designed to showcase the trike's capabilities. It's all part of a calculated effort to spark interest and move the needle, but the undertone is clear. They need these machines gone. There's also the question of what this trike fire sale signals to Harley's competitors. Brands like Can-Am, with their Spider and Riker series, have carved out substantial market share in the wheel space, offering modern aesthetics, lower prices, and a more tech-savvy rider experience. If Harley is perceived as abandoning or losing faith in its own trike lineup, it opens the door even wider for competitors to dominate that segment. That possibility won't sit well with Harley loyalists, but it's an increasingly plausible outcome as the motor company recalibrates its priorities. The current trike dump could also be seen as a bellwether for broader structural changes within Harley's product roadmap. With CEO transitions and strategy pivots in recent years, the brand has oscillated between doubling down on legacy and experimenting with the future. These trikes, symbols of a loyal but dwindling demographic, may simply no longer align with where Harley is trying to go. The quiet push to get rid of them, rather than revamp or promote them, suggests a chapter may be closing behind the scenes. Yet for all the strategy and speculation, the core of the issue remains simple. The trikes aren't selling, and the dealers are nervous. What was once considered a dependable revenue stream has turned into a high-stakes inventory gamble. And while the average consumer might not notice it at first glance, those who look closely will see the signs. Unusually generous deals, increasingly urgent sales tactics, and a quiet anxiety behind the confident smiles of sales staff. These trikes, Freewheeler, Tri-Glide Ultra, and CVO Tri-Glide, aren't just machines anymore. They're symbols of transition, of a brand caught between past and future, trying to figure out what still rides and what gets left behind. While the spotlight remains fixed on the Freewheeler, Tri-Glide Ultra, and CVO Tri-Glide, other trikes are also being swept up in the undercurrent of rapid inventory clearance, though they receive far less attention. These aren't headlining models in Harley-Davidson's official catalog, but they exist at the intersection of niche demand, dealer experimentation, and regional customization efforts. Their presence in showrooms is often the result of local adaptation, third-party conversion partnerships, or legacy inventory carried over from special promotional cycles. But despite their unconventional origins, they're now part of the same urgent exodus. One of these is the Road Glide 3, a trike that Harley introduced to extend the aggressive, shark-nose aesthetic of the Road Glide line into the wheeled realm. The Road Glide 3 was built for those who loved the frame-mounted fairing and bold road presence of the wheeled Road Glide, but required or preferred the stability of a trike. It combined the big touring features of its sibling with a sense of edginess and command, carving out a small but loyal following among younger riders stepping into wheels for the first time. The problem for the Road Glide 3 isn't its capability or even its looks, it's perception. It arrived in the market during a transitional time for Harley, and its introduction didn't get the splash it deserved. Many longtime fans of the traditional Road Glide didn't see the need to replicate the experience in a trike. Meanwhile, new customers unfamiliar with Harley's storied design language found the juxtaposition of sport touring aggression and a trike format hard to understand. In essence, it was a trike that didn't clearly fit into the brand's established categories, leaving potential buyers unsure of its place. Adding to that confusion was its pricing, which landed it between the stripped-down Freewheeler and the luxury-laden Tri-Glide Ultra. For many shoppers, the Road Glide 3 felt like a compromise, more expensive than basic, not quite as luxurious as the premium options. With inflation and financing rates dampening buying enthusiasm, that kind of middle ground identity became a liability. Dealers who bet heavily on the Road Glide 3 are now facing the consequences. In some regions, especially the Midwest and Pacific Northwest, units have sat unsold for months. There's an emerging trend of bundling the Road Glide 3 with gear, accessories, and service credits in a bid to enhance its appeal. But the fact remains, these machines aren't turning over fast enough, and dealers are eager to cut their losses before depreciation erodes profit margins entirely. Then there's the often overlooked Electra Glide trike conversion, a model that exists almost in a shadow category. This is not a factory-produced trike like the others, but a product of dealer-sanctioned or third-party conversions applied to the classic Electra Glide. For years, Harley authorized and facilitated these conversions through licensed vendors, aiming to offer trike functionality to riders who already owned or preferred the Electra Glide's platform. These conversions became popular in retirement communities, among veteran riders, and in locales where Harley loyalty runs deep and modifying a bike is part of the cultural fabric. The challenge with the Electra Glide conversions now is rooted in timing. These converted trikes, many built between 2018 and 2022, are now clogging up dealership lots either as trade-ins or leftover new inventory that never quite found buyers. The issue is compounded by an ironic twist. With Harley offering more dedicated trikes from the factory than ever before, the need for Electra Glide conversions has diminished significantly. What was once a desirable customization has started to feel redundant or even outdated in the eyes of the modern buyer. Additionally, prospective customers are increasingly wary of non-factory builds. Concerns about warranty coverage, parts compatibility, and long-term support are much more prevalent today than even 5 years ago. Riders looking for peace of mind gravitate toward fully backed OEM models, and the converted Electra Glides, with their third-party rear-end kits and unique mechanical quirks, seem like more trouble than they're worth. Even though many of these builds are high quality and performance-tuned, they lack the streamlined branding and assurance that today's market demands. Dealers are now in a bind with these units. Unlike the mainstream trikes, they can't be returned to the factory or shifted easily across dealership networks. Many are one-offs or limited-run builds that don't align with current promotional strategies. Worse, they often occupy a limbo space in the digital showroom, listed as used, pre-owned, or custom builds, categories that make them harder to find and harder to sell. To get rid of them, dealers are slashing prices dramatically, sometimes taking a complete loss just to reclaim the floor space. Some have even begun selling them wholesale to independent retailers or online platforms specializing in specialty motorcycles, just to move the inventory. There's also an emotional undercurrent to the push to dump these Electra Glide trikes. For some dealers, especially long-established ones, these bikes are reminders of a time when Harley's identity was more fluid, when personal customization and dealer ingenuity played a bigger role in shaping the brand's appeal. Now, as Harley tries to tighten its branding and streamline its product line, there's less room for improvisation. These old conversion projects are being swept aside, not just physically but symbolically, in favor of a more controlled, centralized approach to product management. Both the Road Glide 3 and Electra Glide conversions speak to deeper fractures within the current Harley ecosystem. The push to dump these trikes isn't just about dollars and cents. It's about a brand wrestling with its own evolution. The trike segment was once seen as an escape hatch from declining wheel sales, a way to hold on to aging riders and maintain premium pricing. But now, it's clear that even within this niche, Harley must contend with changing tastes, economic realities, and a future that looks increasingly unlike the past. As these models join the others in a quiet mass exit from dealership floors, it marks a notable moment in Harley-Davidson's ongoing transformation. Not every model can survive the transition. Not every trike, no matter how well built or cleverly conceived, can find its place in a market that's demanding more than just tradition. And as dealers quietly mark down these once prized machines, it becomes evident the company's roadmap forward will involve leaving behind not only models but mindsets that no longer serve the ride ahead. Beyond the Road Glide 3 and the Electra Glide trike conversion, more trike models are quietly being swept under the rug, despite their unique identities and originally ambitious intent. The sheer speed at which dealers are working to push them out the door, often without fanfare or formal acknowledgement, signals an even deeper tension between Harley-Davidson's legacy and its current operational realities. These are outliers in the trike category, never dominant in sales but once seen as experimental paths that could tap into underserved rider profiles. Now they are being cleared with a kind of unceremonious urgency that reveals how quickly the market has shifted beneath their wheels. One of these seldom mentioned models is the Softail Trike Custom, a product of regional customization programs and semi-official builds that blurred the line between Harley's cruiser DNA and the stability of wheels. This machine was never a factory catalog standard, but was embraced enthusiastically by certain high-volume dealerships that leveraged Harley's Softail platform for bespoke trike builds. These Softail trikes offered a unique blend of cruiser attitude with wheeled practicality, often outfitted with custom fenders, fat rear ends, and aggressive aftermarket exhaust systems. They were pitched to riders who wanted all the street appeal of a cruiser, but needed the physical support of an extra wheel. Initially, the idea had merit. The Softail chassis was seen as ideal for conversions. Its low stance, solid geometry, and signature aesthetic made it a perfect canvas for trike builders. The result was a handful of custom trikes that retained Harley's raw appeal without veering into touring bike luxury. However, the Softail Trike Customs suffered from one core flaw. No, were quite alike. Because they weren't centrally manufactured or standardized by Harley-Davidson's core engineering teams, the builds varied significantly from one dealership to another. That variability made them harder to market, harder to service, and nearly impossible to certify under unified brand standards. This lack of uniformity created logistical headaches, especially in areas with stricter vehicle registration standards. Customers began to encounter unexpected delays and complications in getting their trikes titled and insured, particularly in states with rigid inspection protocols. As frustration mounted, word began to spread that these custom trikes, however cool they looked, carried an administrative burden that undercut their street charm. For dealerships, what began as a creative way to breathe new life into aging Softail inventory turned into a logistical liability, especially as Harley began pressuring dealers to align more closely with its national branding and inventory goals. Now, Softail-based trikes are being sold off with deep, sometimes hidden discounts. Many are listed under ambiguous names in dealership inventory databases: custom trike, Softail conversion, or dealer mod. These labels, intended to protect the Harley brand from confusion, only add to the opacity. Buyers willing to dig through the clutter can find impressive machines with serious customization at a fraction of what they cost to build. But dealerships are clearly motivated by one thing: clear them out fast. They're not part of Harley's future, and every day they sit unsold is a drain on showroom coherence and dealer profitability. On a different part of the trike spectrum is the Heritage Trike Tourer, another experimental concept that emerged during Harley's brief push to create cross-category machines. Built on the bones of the Heritage Classic, a model revered for its nostalgic styling and long-haul comfort, this trike was designed to marry old-school aesthetics with practical touring elements in a wheeled format. It was targeted specifically at a niche demographic, older riders with deep loyalty to the classic Harley look, who also wanted increased stability without moving up to the larger, bulkier Tri-Glide lineup. The Heritage Trike Tourer was notable for its visual throwbacks. White-wall tires, studded leather seats, detachable windshields, and high-polished chrome defined its styling. It exuded Americana in a way few other Harley models did. Yet this very commitment to retro styling became a double-edged sword. Younger or middle-aged riders, even those interested in a trike for practical reasons, found the design too antiquated. Meanwhile, older buyers who might have appreciated the look often preferred the more established Tri-Glide, or even considered downsizing completely to lighter-wheeled cruisers with low centers of gravity and modern tech. Adding to its sales woes was the awkward equipment configuration. Because it was adapted from the Heritage Classic, the Heritage Trike Tourer sometimes suffered from payload and handling limitations that made it feel less capable than its peers on long-distance rides. Luggage capacity was also constrained, and the absence of integrated tech, no touchscreen infotainment, limited rider assist features, meant it was difficult to justify its price point when compared to more feature-rich trikes. It quickly became evident that this model was caught between eras, combining the aesthetics of a 1950s road machine with none of the innovations expected by today's touring rider. Dealers initially promoted it heavily in limited regions, especially across the Southwest and rural East Coast, banking on a vintage-loving clientele. But when those sales fizzled out faster than anticipated, they were left with stock they couldn't return. And that didn't align with Harley's broader push toward modernity. Some began converting the machines back into standard wheel Heritage Classics just to make them easier to sell. Others resorted to offloading them to independent showrooms or online auction platforms where nostalgic appeal might still carry currency. Now, if you can find a Heritage Trike Tourer, it's likely buried in an online listing without a category to cleanly slot it into. Dealers don't advertise them in trike-specific promotions anymore, and you'll rarely see them on display unless you ask for one. But behind closed doors, sales managers are eager, sometimes even relieved, at any serious interest. The message is consistent: it's time to move on. Both the Softail Trike Custom and the Heritage Trike Tourer were products of experimentation, attempts to push the boundaries of Harley's wheeled market without fully committing to a mass market strategy. Now they exist as remnants of a transitional phase the company is quickly trying to shed. The effort to purge them from inventory isn't just about clearing floor space. It's about redefining Harley's image in a new era where every model has to earn its place through clarity, identity, and market precision. Their quiet departure is happening without press releases or product cancellation announcements. It's happening through back-channel dealer maneuvers, quiet markdowns, and strategic silence. Harley is letting them fade, not with a bang, but a shrug. And for those paying attention, their removal from the scene reveals the narrowing of the trike market, a clarifying of Harley's vision, and a sobering reminder that in an age of rapid change, even the most distinctive experiments can become burdens almost overnight. Taken together, the 7 trikes that Harley-Davidson dealers are trying to dump, the Freewheeler, Tri-Glide Ultra, CVO Tri-Glide, Road Glide 3, Electra Glide Trike Conversion, Softail Trike Custom, and Heritage Trike Tourer, tell a broader, more sobering story about the shifting ground beneath America's most iconic motorcycle brand. Each of these models, at one time or another, was seen as a viable solution to a strategic problem: aging customers, declining two-wheeled interest, and the demand for increased accessibility without sacrificing brand identity. But now, they are being rapidly offloaded, one by one, in a quiet and strategic purge that suggests the trike experiment is no longer delivering the return on investment Harley hoped for. These 7 machines represent not just inventory, but Harley's efforts to walk a tightrope between tradition and adaptability. The Freewheeler was supposed to be the stripped-down younger sibling of the Tri-Glide, more affordable, more manageable, more cool. It failed to generate sustained excitement. The Tri-Glide Ultra, once considered the cornerstone of Harley's trike lineup, now suffers from sticker shock as economic conditions tighten and its aging target audience begins to age out altogether. Meanwhile, the CVO Tri-Glide, the ultra-premium showstopper, simply priced itself out of reach and into irrelevance for all but a handful of riders who still want chrome excess and prestige in the form of a third wheel. Then came the Road Glide 3, which attempted to bridge performance, style, and stability in a bold new way. It stumbled because of timing and identity confusion, arriving into a market that couldn't decide if it wanted performance or practicality from a trike. The Electra Glide trike conversions, once seen as resourceful custom builds, now look like outdated compromises, unsupported by consistent warranty coverage, and increasingly seen as a burden rather than a creative solution. The Softail Trike Custom tried to offer a cruiser-style trike experience, tapping into Harley's rebellious core, but its inconsistent build quality and lack of standardization left it impossible to scale or sustain. Lastly, the Heritage Trike Tourer banked on nostalgia, outfitted to invoke Harley's Americana roots, but it couldn't keep pace with modern expectations, especially among riders who wanted both retro flair and today's technology in one package. What unites all 7 isn't just declining sales, it's the way dealers are reacting. They're not rotating these bikes in promotions or giving them centerpiece placement on showroom floors. They're shoving them out through bundled offers, unadvertised markdowns, and back-channel financing deals. Some are quietly moving units to wholesale auctions, selling in lots just to claw back capital. Others are negotiating with tour rental companies, using volume discounts to disguise the sense of urgency. In some cases, dealers are even advising their own sales staff to steer interested customers toward more flexible two-wheelers or newer, lighter models with broader resale appeal. What makes this moment so striking is that Harley isn't saying much about it. There's no announcement that the trike strategy is being revised. There's no clear public shift in messaging. Yet the dealers are speaking through action. When 7 different trike models spanning premium, mid-range, custom, and nostalgic are being quietly dumped across regions, the implications are loud enough on their own. It suggests that Harley's faith in the three-wheeled segment has waned significantly, even if it's not yet ready to abandon it entirely. This large-scale offload is more than a dealership-level issue. It reflects an existential shift in Harley's broader direction. The brand is tightening its product lineup, aiming for efficiency and relevance in a new generation of riders. As electric bikes and adventure touring models gain traction, the trike lineup is increasingly looking like dead weight. And with 7 models being pushed out with uncommon urgency, it's clear the motor company is clearing the decks. Whatever comes next, these trikes won't be part of the ride. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on why dealers are dumping these 7 Harley trikes? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching and see you next time.